Hi, listeners, and welcome back to the Lindsay and Randy Show with our special guest, Madeline Sandlin.
Yes.
Been a special guest
She's
for a few.
for 3 episodes.
Yes.
Hey, listen,
Yes.
look,
And
she may be an earmark.
and she might be a recurring
Yeah.
character
I like
on
it.
the Lindsay and Randy Show. I am just gonna say she is everything, everywhere, all at once. For her credit this
All
go
right.
around, and today this is gonna be a short podcast because the answer is all the same no matter how we get to the destination.
Yeah.
We've sliced
But-
and diced it.
Yeah, but how do we release difficult people in situations? Who would like to take it? Who's taking this one?
You want me to?
It
spin
don't
up?
matter to me because I'm simple. I'm kind of like,
You know, I'll just start talking.
but so many levels to people.
Yeah.
You gotta ask yourself how you want to go.
Yeah.
Because we're taught so many different things as it comes to parents.
Mm-hmm.
Step parents, grandparents, whoever's your ultimate matriarch or patriarch in your situation.
Right.
How long are you going to allow toxic to lead you in that relationship before you decide that you need some sort of peace? Understanding that you have to be good with whatever decision you make, knowing that there may never be a resolution. See, that's what people are afraid of. They're afraid of no contact. Everybody's on social media right now.
Right.
People are going no contact
Yep.
like crazy
Yeah.
right now. One thing I like to ask all of them as they do it: are you good with your decision if you never get a resolution? What do you mean, Coach? Just have mom dies today. Are you good with your decision?
Yeah. Well, we could spin this into a whole podcast
Yeah,
where
please.
you and I are talking.
Yeah, exactly.
because
Absolutely.
That has happened
Oh,
to me
wow.
on a very personal level.
Oh.
But I don't want to feed up this episode with
Understood.
that.
Understood.
But I will say that the greatest and most hard earned lessons I have learned involve or stem from love. And I think that's ultimately why it's so difficult to detach or cut things off, is there's an emotional connection. I'm invested. There's and whether that's with family, with partnerships, with friendships, my friends know, I mean, you're in my, tribe. Like, I am loyal to a fault. Like, I will, help hide a body.
Yes.
Like,
I'm with you.
Yes.
I'm there with you. You know, whatever you need. But I think, it comes to, are we in alignment? Is there reciprocity? And the older I get, the more important that word and verb is, right? Am I getting out what I'm feeding in, and not in a selfish way of, are you listening?
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the
Exactly.
Yeah,
simplest
that's
form.
the simplest form. Yeah.
So, no, again, I think, to your point, it's okay to be selfish with
Yes.
your time, your energy, your love, your power, and yeah, there's people that are solely put here to just suck that.
I agree.
Yes.
Oh God, I agree.
Yes, I was like,
I agree.
they are takers. Yes.
Yes.
And that's their mission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like what you said, and I agree with you. But I guess where it's different for me is love to me is instantaneous. Like when I saw you a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
one of the first things that came out of my mouth was, "I just love Madeline." You know what I'm saying? At that moment, we knew who each other were, but we
Right.
didn't know each other.
Right.
I have to have a very high level of like.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair.
And if that like doesn't exist, the love doesn't matter for me because I
Right.
can still love you and never see you nor speak to you again.
Right.
Love you from a distance.
So
Right.
that's where it comes to me when I ask the question of, are you good with the decision that you make, even if you do not get the resolution?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you still like that person, fight.
Oh, right.
But if the like is gone and it's a love, it's okay. And you're going to sleep better at night if you ask yourself these questions because you wonder and you think about things that you like. I don't know why it's so backwards, but it is. Because you don't have to I love flowers, but you know what? I already know that that's an annual. And I know that annual only needs to be
Right.
watered once every 6 months. So though I love it, I don't have to worry about
Right.
it. But if that was a perennial that needed weekly care, I not only love this, I had to choose it because I like it.
Right.
You see what I'm
Right.
saying? So that's where I get into that, and that's why I get into the higher levels of relationship because, you know, this no contact thing is not coming from, you know, hypothetics. This is coming from personal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
people
that-
are
Because
going-
decisions had to be made in my life
Right.
for my happiness.
Right.
You know, and it's like, people say, don't say it. I do love the person,
Right.
but I just don't like who you are.
And that is okay because, I mean, you use the word selfishness.
Yeah.
The word that I like to always switch that out with the clients of mine is self-preservation.
Yeah.
That I have to preserve myself, I have to preserve my peace, I have to preserve
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. And so in that preservation, maybe you can't be a part of things.
Right.
The other part is that sometimes we're sourcing resolution from people, places, or things that can't provide that in
There you
us. And so if we keep going back to that same well, hoping, praying, wishing, and we're like, maybe if I do it this way, maybe if I say it this way, maybe if I do something different, if, and I see it all the time. I
Yeah.
have this conversation at least 15 times a week
Wow.
with people, and,
Yeah.
and it's all ranges. It's jobs, it's family, it's spouses, it's children of their own,
Right.
friends, and when in reality, sometimes we have to ask ourselves, am I going to be able to get what I need
Right.
from, again, this person, place, or thing? And if you cannot, in that moment in time,
Right.
because there's always the possibility of growth, but in that moment in time, if you cannot, it's okay to release it.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm not growing, if I'm not learning, and then I'm not growing.
There you
But
go.
And
also,
so
if
if
you
I'm-
continue to be hurt, and that's kind of the
Totally.
thing is that like, because it's beyond personal growth.
Yeah.
It is like, if every time I interact with this person or I interact in this environment,
Yeah.
that I'm gonna come away feeling hurt by it.
Right.
At some point, and it's in a lot of relationships when people are getting cut off, it's not a big thing happening. It's
No.
death by a thousand cuts.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
things have ended
Yes.
in the way that they have for people, and so it really and truly is that none of us deserve, and deserves a loaded word, but no one deserves to be perpetually hurt by something or someone.
Right.
And that's when we do have to look inward and make a choice for ourselves. Like, I might need to back away from this. Like, you
Yeah.
wouldn't keep touching a hot stove, would you?
No. No. Yeah. No. Then let me ask you this, and this might go longer than we anticipated.
It's all good. It's all,
All
good.
good.
So I cut my mother off many, many times. We had a very tumultuous relationship. In a nutshell, she struggled with alcohol and addiction, and so during those times where I was no contact,
Yeah.
no matter what therapy, what I was doing, there was always that guilt that
Yeah.
sneaks in. And so how do you control the guilt of the what if, which ultimately
Yeah,
happened to
happens.
me?
Yeah.
My mom passed away during that no contact period.
Yeah.
And so when I was moving through that grief cycle, now I was dealing with, there was a sea of guilt
Yes.
of oh my gosh, I should have been the bigger person. I should have, fixed this, but that was the underlying, feeling my entire life. I need to fix this. I need to fix this. So, yeah, I would love. I mean, how do you manage the guilt of that?
And I mean, and it's weighty.
Yeah.
It's weighty for people to manage the guilt of it, but it's also like you couldn't fix it.
No,
Children have no power,
right.
and like you didn't have any power when you were a child and you're experiencing this, and you sure as hell didn't have any power as an adult
Right.
experiencing this. And so, yeah, you could have been the bigger person, but also what type of relationship would you have even have had? And that's kind of like, yeah, I mean, if your mother
Yeah.
continued on her addiction the way that she
Yeah.
could at times, like what would that relationship have looked like?
Yeah.
And
Because she
so,
wasn't sitting at the other side of the table
Yeah.
saying, I want to fix this too.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like we can't, contrary to popular belief,
Yeah.
we can't have a relationship with another person by ourselves.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. yeah.
And a
Yeah.
lot of the times we try, but we
Yeah.
can't have a relationship with another person by ourselves.
Yeah.
And I mean, and you're speaking to, and I don't want to like
Yeah.
therapize
Yeah.
your experience right now, but you're speaking to the complicated relationship between parents and children, especially when there's an addiction issue, because children feel a sense of responsibility for their parents,
Yeah.
even when they children
Yes.
have no power.
Yes.
Children have no power, and the foundational relationship that we have with our parents has everything to do with that parent and nothing to do with that child. And so, if you did not build a strong foundation with your child,
Right.
then they can't save you anyway.
No, you're right. Right. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
and so it's absolving yourself of the guilt because you didn't do anything to be guilty about.
Yeah. I know.
You didn't do, and I know I've said that to you.
Yeah.
I'm sure every therapist you've ever worked with has said that to you.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to believe it right now.
I know.
But it's true.
Yeah. No, I think, with that process of, searching to the corners and, of the globe and beyond, we're all just trying to figure out, or at least me, I'm speaking, how can I just fix myself?
What's
and-
broken?
Yeah. But also, we don't fix ourselves through other people.
But
Yeah, that's true.
That's
But you're saying that fix myself, and I'm like, what's broken? What is broken? You can get so. I'm just
Yeah.
get with me.
Yeah, I'm there.
I'm just listening, and just if you don't mind.
Yeah, let's go.
I'm hearing you say, what can I do to fix it? Every time it was, what can I do to
Well,
fix
that's
it?
coming from the trauma
Yeah, but-
from
Yeah.
my childhood.
But follow me. When do you say, when are you just gonna try and change?
Yeah.
When I'm not. I've been an addict, so
Right.
so we're just gonna go into the person that's not.
yeah.
And it's like, when are you going to eventually see that I'm the only one trying to make it
Yeah.
better?
Yeah.
Not different. I'm just trying to make
Right.
Hello better.
Better. Yes.
Well.
I don't want Hello to be like, hey, I want to be
Yeah.
like, hey, with a hug in love. Why am I not changing the other person speaking? That's where the problem comes into play, because you're continuously trying to create a one-sided beauty, knowing that the other side gonna be effed up.
Right. Right.
How long are you gonna say, I'm just gonna have a compromising situation for the rest of my life? Because if something were detrimental were to happen, at least I was in the relationship. The guilt is gonna be the same in my book.
Right.
The guilt is gonna be it's gonna be worse, because you're gonna now be resentful because you put me through hell all this time. Because people like that, and not speaking towards
Yeah.
your mom, just people like that, they mean to the day they stop
Oh,
take their
yeah,
last breath.
for sure.
They don't change. You have to ask yourself,
Right.
how long am I going to be in a one-sided situation?
Yeah.
Stop worrying about the other person. It's not going to change.
Right.
What you have to be okay with your decision,
Yep.
even if there's no resolution. people always take that as you just saying walk away. No, I'm saying be okay with what you decide to do.
just
If you
have
decide to
peace
be in
about the
hell,
choice.
then don't tell me about the hell that you chose to be in.
Right. Well,
I don't want to hear about your hell because you're choosing that hell. But if you choose bliss,
right.
talk to me about the bliss because you might help me get out of the hell that I've been walking through my whole
true.
time.
There's an illustration, and it's probably one of my favorite when I describe to people like when we need to exit a relationship or when it's okay just to be like, no, thank you. It's two men in a boat, and the boat is filling up with water. One man has a bucket, and he's taking water out of the boat, and the other one is drilling holes in the boat.
Yeah.
And so it's
Hit
like
his ass in the head with the bucket.
So it's kind of like
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and that's a lot of that's a lot of relationships that aren't healthy to toxic because I think that all exists along the continuum.
Yeah.
But that so at some point you have to say to yourself, I can get out and swim to shore,
Yeah.
or we can both drown in the sinking boat.
Right. Right.
Because both of them were in that situation. I see both of them saying this is the solution. You got one guy saying, "Oh shoot, it's filling up. I got to get out." The other guy's going, "If I drill a hole, it'll leak," not knowing that it's actually bringing more water into the boat.
I mean,
Yeah. Well,
the answer is never.
And
he's
both
trying-
of them are gonna die.
Yeah, he's drilling holes in the bottom. I don't know how helpful he's trying to be.
Hey.
Exactly.
That means you need to know who you're dealing with.
Exactly.
But a lot of the times we don't get to choose,
There
and
you
that's
go.
kind of
No.
the thing. Like we don't get to choose who we're dealing with. We don't
That's
get to
true.
choose who we're dealing with in families. We don't get to choose who we're dealing with in work environments. I think that all of us are definitely coming from a position of privilege professionally
Right.
Mm-hmm.
because we all work for ourselves, and so we can pick and choose who
Yeah.
we choose to
Yeah.
professionally engage with. But I mean, there's a lot of people who go to work every day and are having to deal with a toxic ass person.
Yeah.
And it is not realistic for them to walk away from the job because we all got bills.
Right.
There you go.
So in that instance, it's like, how do I self-preserve?
Yeah.
Like
Lower
how do,
expectations.
yes.
And what can I get from this person?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what am I? What are they bringing to the table?
How do I navigate these interactions
Exactly.
so that they're
And
less
how long does that
tumultuous?
list have to be for me to actually deal with you? Because if it's just one or two things on
Yeah.
the list, is that enough for me to deal with the BS?
Right.
This is a loaded topic.
It's loaded.
It's more loaded than people could ever imagine because you got parents that
Communication
feel this
styles.
way about
Yes,
their
right.
kids, and I'm not talking about grown kids. I'm talking about kids that can't even leave their house right now. You got kids that feel this way about their parents. This is such a loaded topic.
Yeah.
And
But what I warn those parents when they cross my threshold is that at some point your kids get to choose,
Yeah.
and whether they choose you or not has everything to do with what you're doing right now.
right now,
Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's
there's
not an obligation to choose you because you raised me.
Right.
well, and I'm just like any idiot who has working reproductive organs can have a child. So
Yeah.
having a child is not, you're not owed anything. And again, and I've said this to you before, and I know it's
Yeah.
not a very popular opinion. Our children don't owe us anything, but we owe them everything.
They
Yeah.
were asked to be
And
the
here.
tools
Yes.
to learn how to cope and navigate.
Or just be
Yeah.
safe.
Yeah. Or
Just be safe.
Yeah.
I don't
Like-
know one child that was like, I want to go.
Yeah.
No. Right.
Those kids were made without ever wanting to be here.
Right.
And that includes you, me,
Oh, yeah,
me,
right.
the producer.
Nobody asked.
Nobody asked to be here.
Right. I know.
But if every parent, do you know how great that would be if every parent thought that way? We wouldn't even be having this conversation right
No,
now.
we wouldn't. And,
We wouldn't even be having this conversation right,
Right.
now. But there's
wouldn't.
so many of us that aren't thinking that. I think that way consciously.
yeah.
But there's a lot of unhealed people, and not that hell. When I became a parent, I can't say that I was completely healed because that shit busts a lot of stuff wide
I'm
open,
wide open.
and I had to go back to therapy,
Yep.
clean that shit up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's not what I'm saying is that you need to be completely mentally stable. I have a child, but but it helps to be a little bit,
Yeah.
and to know where your shit is.
Yeah.
And that we do not heal ourselves through our children. We
Right.
don't heal ourselves through other people. And our children don't owe us anything.
Yep.
Because they didn't ask to be here. But ultimately, when it comes to difficult people or situations, it is okay to choose yourself. It is okay to choose peace. And if you don't get anything else from this this conversation today is that we are not giving you an oversimplification. Like
Right.
this is heavily layered. It just is. It's heavily layered.
Yeah.
It's highly emotional, and none of those decisions are made lightly. And that's what
None.
Yeah.
hearing Madeline's story today, I want people to realize, like, she didn't make this decision lightly.
No.
No one makes these decisions
No.
lightly. And there's a lot of moving parts. And I think that one
Yeah.
of my big criticisms for social media is that the conversation about cutting people off or
That it's even
detaching-
on there.
that it's even on there, but
Yeah.
two, again, like, it's almost oversimplified,
Right.
and I think
There's
that
a way
people have
to do
very
that.
visceral reactions to that because we are all programmed of like, well, it's your family or it's your mom or it's your dad, and honestly, there's nothing special about sharing DNA unless you need an organ or a blood transfusion.
Right.
But again, like, what was that mom or dad doing? What was that family member doing?
Right.
That made that person feel so unsafe, and I don't mean physically unsafe,
Oh,
but
yeah.
just like
Emotionally.
emotionally
yeah.
unsafe, that they made that choice. And to piggyback off of our last episode,
Yeah.
that we don't come from a place of judgment or criticism, but a place of understanding, and then where it's just like, well, good, I'm glad that you're in a place where you don't have to be unsafe.
Yeah, I love
Right. Right. You don't cut people off to be
it.
validated.
There you go.
No.
You know, you cut people off because, I'm removing myself from this, from a burning
There you
house.
go.
From a house that's burning.
That's a great
Yes.
one.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, the fire alarm. It's there's smoke signals. There's been warnings. That, you know.
Yes, exactly.
All right, I'm gonna grab my shoes and my keys and my dog,
Yeah,
and
I'm
like
out.
I'm leaving.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
That is an
Because
excellent
it can
analogy,
it can
Matt.
definitely
Thank
be
you
a
for
burning
that.
building.
Yeah,
That was a
thank you
good
for
one.
that. That's excellent.
If that don't open up people's eyes to say, let me think
Yeah.
about this a little differently, because that was a good example.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It
Hey,
it's-
I know what our theme is, and I think we all do it. We choose self
yeah.
because we want to be happy
Yes.
first.
Yeah.
I would rather deal with a person that walks through their door with a smile and already full of jubilance than meeting one that's walking in the door looking for. And I'm not talking about, I'm a coach, come on, you gotta come to me. I'm talking about like these beautiful ladies here, and they come to my house, we're coming to have a good time, good wine, good fun,
Absolutely.
and walk to the door smiling like they do all the time.
Yeah.
And if you can create that type of environment, oh my God, the
Exactly.
years ahead are gonna be amazing.
Let's go.
And hallelujah to that. Well, there is no better way to end this episode than with that. Thank you so much, Matt, for joining us
Of
these
course.
past couple of episodes. She'll pop in here and there
Absolutely.
to say hey.
Yeah.
Follow us on all social media platforms. The Lindsay and Randy Show. Lindsay with an E, Randy with a Y.
And right now, Mads with us.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Listen, it's been
Yes.
a great time once again. Hey,
Yeah. Thanks.
peace.
Thanks, guys.